In February 2014, the biggest Bitcoin exchange on Earth went dark. When the accountants finally got inside, the vault was not just short, it was almost empty. 850,000 Bitcoins were gone. At the time, that was worth about $460 million. At prices seen since, it is on the order of $50 billion. This is not one of our fraud files. This one is a heist file, because the man the world blamed turned out not to be the thief. And the actual thieves, according to American prosecutors, had been inside the vault for years. By the end of this file, you'll understand how an exchange actually stores coins and why one setting made this theft possible, where 850,000 Bitcoins went, and the strangest ending in financial history, where the victims of the biggest crypto heist ever accidentally got rich. This is Vanished Billions. Open the file. The name says everything about how accidental this empire was. Mt. Gox stood for Magic the Gathering Online Exchange. It began as a website for trading fantasy playing cards. In 2010, its founder repurposed the domain to trade a strange new internet money called Bitcoin. A year later, it was sold to Marc Karpeles, a young French programmer living in Tokyo. He was brilliant with code, awkward with people, and fond of cats. He suddenly owned the front door to an entire asset class. By 2013, if you bought or sold Bitcoin anywhere in the world, the odds were you did it through Mt. Gox. At its peak, it handled roughly 7 out of every 10 Bitcoin trades on the planet. One website, run by a handful of people, was the global market. There had been warnings from the very beginning. In June 2011, an intruder got into an admin account and dumped so many coins that, for a few surreal minutes, the price of Bitcoin on Mt. Gox fell to 1 cent. The site limped back. Everyone treated it as growing pains. It was a rehearsal. To understand the theft, you need one lesson, so let's go to the board. An exchange keeps coins in 2 kinds of wallets: a hot wallet connected to the internet for daily withdrawals, and a cold wallet kept offline where the bulk of the treasure is supposed to sleep out of any thief's reach. The entire security of an exchange lives in that separation. Inside Mt. Gox, according to the investigations that followed, that separation barely existed. Private keys sat where an intruder could reach them, and from as early as 2011, someone did. The coins did not vanish in one dramatic night. They leaked. Month after month, year after year, Bitcoins drained quietly out of the wallets, while the website showed customers' balances that no longer existed. The exchange became a shell, trading on numbers from the past. Think about what that means. For years, people traded, saved, and celebrated balances on a screen. The screen was reporting a vault that was already hollow. It was a bank run waiting for a reason to start. Stranger still, investigators and researchers later described automated trading bots operating inside the exchange itself, buying Bitcoin with funds whose existence nobody could verify. The market watched those purchases and read them as demand. Even the price, in other words, was partly a reflection of the whole. In February 2014, the reason arrived. Withdrawals slowed, then froze. The company blamed a technical quirk in Bitcoin itself. 2 weeks later, the site went offline entirely. And then a leaked internal document said the quiet part out loud: the coins are gone. The outside world had already started squeezing. In 2013, American authorities seized millions from the company's U.S. accounts over licensing failures. Partners sued, banks pulled away. The empire that cleared most of the world's Bitcoin could barely hold a bank account of its own. 850,000 Bitcoins, 7% of every Bitcoin that existed, written off in a bankruptcy filing. Weeks later, 200,000 of them were found in an old wallet, like coins in a coat pocket. It made everything scarier. If you can misplace 200,000 Bitcoins, what else don't you know? The world needed a villain, and it chose the man at the top. Karpeles was arrested in Japan and spent nearly a year in detention. The internet convicted him overnight as the thief of $500 million. The actual court said something very different. In 2019, a Tokyo court acquitted him of embezzlement and breach of trust. The coins the judges found were not in his pockets. He was convicted only of falsifying records with a suspended sentence for papering over holes in a sinking ship. Clumsy custodian, said the record, not thief. So who took the coins? In 2023, American prosecutors answered with an indictment. They alleged 2 Russian men had been draining MacLeod since 2011, laundering the flood of stolen Bitcoin through their own exchange. Both were charged. Neither has faced an American jury. The allegation stands unresolved like the case itself. The trail was not cracked by a government. It was cracked by a Swedish software engineer in Tokyo who had lost coins himself. For years, mostly unpaid, he traced the stolen Bitcoins across the blockchain, wallet by wallet, until they led to a Russian-operated exchange. His findings pointed the way for the police work that followed. Now the ledger and no file of ours has ever ended like this. The bankruptcy trapped 200,000 recovered Bitcoins in legal amber for a decade. While lawyers argued, the price of Bitcoin did something no lawyer could have planned. It multiplied more than 100-fold. So when repayments finally began in 2024, creditors who had lost, say, $1,000 of Bitcoin received coins and cash worth many times their original loss. The victims of the biggest crypto collapse in history became, by accident of bureaucracy, some of the best compensated victims ever. Waiting made them whole, and then some. Do not mistake that for a happy ending. A decade of lives on hold, businesses that died waiting, and thousands of coins still simply gone into wallets that have never moved. The luckiest outcome in this series still left its people frozen for 10 years. And the thousands of coins that were never recovered still sit on the public blockchain, visible to anyone, in addresses the whole world watches. That is the cruelest part of a crypto heist. The money is not hidden. You can look at it, you just cannot touch it. Put this file beside the others and notice what changed. FTX, Theranos, Wirecard, Madoff. In those, the enemy was the man across the desk. At MacLeod, the enemy was a setting. One separation not maintained, one vault left warm. The pattern still holds, nobody verified. And here's the uncomfortable footnote. MacLeod was not the last of its kind. In the decade that followed, exchange after exchange failed the same exam. Keys kept warm, customer coins treated as house money. The industry's biggest collapses, including one we have already covered in this series, were MacLeod with better branding. The rehearsal became a genre. Which brings us to the last lesson on the board, and it is the oldest rule in crypto for a reason. Not your keys, not your coins. If someone else holds the keys to your money, you do not own money. You own their promise. New forensic files every Tuesday and Friday. The frauds, collapses, and heists the money world would rather forget. Subscribe if you want to know where the money went.